Employee monitoring could be any form of surveillance of employees in their place of work. This could range from spot checks on individuals to continuous monitoring of an employee's activities. It's usually done with a view to ensuring that employees are productive or behaving, or both. Employee monitoring is not new though. Think of clocking in and clocking out cards in a factory or CCTV in shops. There are many reasons why an organisation might consider monitoring employees. Firstly, for compliance purposes. Think of organisations whose employees trade in financial markets. You may be required to monitor your employees' interactions to protect against risks such as insider trading. Then there's also security, to deter or detect theft, such as the misuse of sensitive data or theft from a shop storeroom. Employee monitoring could also be used to monitor performance and also for training purposes, such as in call centres. It could also be used to deter or prevent misconduct, such as preventing harassment taking place over the company's email systems. And finally, employee monitoring could be used to monitor the well-being of employees, in particular to detect if somebody is overworking, working too late or for too long. The range of employee monitoring products available has increased with more home working taking place during the pandemic. For the more desk-based roles, the type of software that's available on the market includes software that can monitor employees' levels of activity, for example by monitoring keyboard keystrokes or even mouse movements, software that enables employers to take screenshots of an employee's computer, software that can turn on the computer webcam on an employee's laptop, and the ability to view employees' browsing history. For the more non-desk-based roles, the type of employee monitoring includes monitoring access to buildings or parts of it, CCTV of employees in the workplace, and GPS on company vehicles or dash cams on company vehicles. Sometimes, but you've got to bear in mind that most data collected through employee monitoring will be personal data. So this brings into play concerns about data protection. The main data protection principles that will be relevant here will be that a business must only process employee data if done so transparently, for specified and legitimate purposes, and limited what is necessary for those purposes, and done so securely. There may also be human rights concerns here. Article 8 provides for the respect for private and family life. Employees' private lives usually inevitably extend into the workplace to some degree, and so employees have a legitimate expectation of privacy even where they've been informed that monitoring may take place. Employers considering employee monitoring also need to consider any discrimination angle. Certain types of monitoring may lead to disproportionate impacts on certain groups of employees, such as monitoring that has built-in expectations which penalise, for example, frequent or longer toilet breaks, think of certain disabilities or pregnant women, child-related interruptions, likely to be more problematic for women than men, or suboptimal working environments, for example, more likely to be an issue for younger workers. The first thing to consider is carrying out a data protection impact assessment. Now, this is essentially a formal means of recording your organisation's thinking about how employee monitoring can be done and how it can be justified. If the regulator, such as the Information Commissioner's Office or ICO, comes calling, this will be your first line of defence. Now, what it means is essentially writing out your answers to my previous points about employee monitoring. Why do it? What benefits will it deliver? What adverse impact would it have? And is the reason for carrying out the monitoring sufficient to justify the intrusion into the employee's privacy? The assessment should also consider how the information will be obtained, how it will be used, and what safeguards should be put in place to prevent any misuse. If you do go ahead and implement employee monitoring, employees will need to be told when that information about them will be obtained, why it's been obtained, how it will be used, and by whom. And finally, keep that assessment under review, record any changes or even record reasons for not changing it. As I said, if the regulator comes calling or if an employee complains, this assessment will be your first port of call in justifying carrying out the monitoring.